starts now.
Kanadiest starts with Keldo's effect, sending Yugioh to the graveyard to summon it. Now he gets to search for a card that has Exchange of Spirit in its name and add that to his hand.
It's nice we have some new text technology there, where we just say that, a card that mentions whatever the card's name in its text, instead of a card that specifically lists the card name whatever in its text.
If you told me 10 years ago that there was going to be a whole theme of cards built around a card that was then forbidden, I'd be pretty surprised.
Yeah, I'd probably also have to tell you that we changed the text.
Yeah.
Now it does something almost completely different.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what the point of all these Yugioh cards is, right? Because both players need to have 15 cards in their graveyard now for Exchange of the Spirit. You use the Kelbeck and the Yugioh to get those cards into the opponent's graveyard. And then when you flip Exchange of the Spirit, you use your Medora and your Keldo to shuffle some things back in so that they're left with fewer cards left. And because you'd have Exchange of the Spirit around, you get the increased number as well. Because the goal is to have them have as many as Kaiba did. And I think he had 6 left after the switch, but with the maximum, you'd get them down to 5. So it'd be a little better.
We're going to see a fusion summon Mugdragon of the Swamp. Looked like that was with Merly's effect. And we will also see Kit Kalos fusion summoned. Looked like he was waiting for a response, but the Kit Kalos' effect will resolve, allowing him to get a Tier Limits card to add to his hand.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing what cards people are and aren't playing. I haven't seen a whole lot of Ash Blossom or Infinite Impermanence, but Angel is playing both.
One of the tech cards that we've been seeing a lot of duelists use is Skullmeister this weekend. That seems to have actually replaced those cards in popularity. So Kanadiest is going to summon Abyss Dweller.
Interesting. I don't know that he knows what his opponent is playing here.
I was just thinking that because it's not the most effective card against Sprite.
But it's a good guess, especially in round 11 at this point.
So he uses the Dweller's effect. Kit Kalos follows. He's going to send special summon Merly and...
All right, so he's got the dump 8 combo there.
It's 5 for Kit Kalos, 3 for Merly.
2.
Sheeran, Rhino Heart, and that might be a Scream. Got a Keldo in the second set of 3 cards.
It's a little bit covered up, but I do think that's a Scream. He said all 3 Keldos so far.
I think he'd be very well positioned if he were playing against Tier Limits.
Very well. And it might still be good enough. If you could just keep going enough here.
Yeah, we'll see how much further he gets. Just locking down the graveyard likely won't be enough to stop a Sprite player on the first turn.
He's going to need the fusions here. But he doesn't have them. He just sets the Celiac face down and plays over to Angel.
No, so that's effect negation, which is, I guess, not the worst thing to have.
Are you using priority?
All right. And we've got the Abyss Dweller as well, which makes absolutely no difference here. Actually, it might, if he has the Angler. It would stop the Angler.
That's true. That would activate in the graveyard.
He's going to start with Sprite Carrot.
Okay, so it's not the best normal summon to start with here, but it is a level 2. It does stick, and Sprite Blue comes next. So he does activate the effect, and Kanadiest is going to use Suliak. So he'll negate the effect, sending the Kelbeck to his graveyard from his hand, it looks like.
And now we can dump another 5 off the top of the decks.
Activate Kelbeck from graveyard.
See if that goes through, or if that gets hit with something. It's fine. All right. We see a bunch of fairies here. Smudora, it's Kelbeck. Smudora again. Herald of Orange Light.
We also see the high rate
draw.
And that could be useful because it would allow him to tribute his monsters during Angel's turn.
Yep, so he can destroy a monster on field to set that back to the field during the main phase.
You're right. Destroy, not tribute, which is a significant difference because it triggers their effects.
You can use it here. This is the first time I've actually seen high rate draw in action. And it might be this case for Angel as well. So its regular effect lets you destroy at least 2 monsters you control. Basically, you just destroy a bunch of your own monsters, and for every 2 you destroy, you draw a card. And then while it's in the graveyard during the main phase, you can destroy a monster you control to set it back to your field and banish it when it leaves the field.
Yeah, it looks like high rate draw can even be used on the turn it's sent to the graveyard.
It can. Many of these types of cards cannot, but high rate draw can.
And he's going to do it now, it looks like.
He's going to set that back.
More importantly, that destroys them early so he can use its effect. And we might see a Kaleido Heart send that Carrot back to the deck, which will cut off Angel from special summoning any more level 2 monsters from his hand.
Unless he's holding back a starter.
Yes, if he has a starter, that'll be the end of that. that Carrot is not particularly effective if he has a starter, or not particularly important if he has a starter.
There is the Kaleido Heart.
Yeah, if you can starve the Sprite Duelist of the level 2 monster on the field, sometimes it's hard to keep spitting out monsters.
Yep.
So I think the Kaleido Heart's a strong play there, and now it's really up to Angel to rise to the challenge and, answer the task.
You can flip them down, you can get rid of them. Anything that keeps them from being face-up works. Starts with triple tactics talent.
He's going to draw 2 cards, probably digging for a starter. He's already used Blue's effect, which got negated. Oh, there's the starter.
That's the starter. Here we go.
I think we're probably going to see Jet here. Unless he already has a Jet, and then he may want to take red.
Kennedy's looking at his hand there as if he had a green light. But no, he's got high rate draw, which he can't activate this turn.
Yes, trap cards cannot be activated the turn they're set.
Some say that you can do that in certain situations. This is not one of them.
And he goes for red, so he's setting up an insurance policy against Kanadiest's plays. He loses 1,200 life points, and he's now locked into only summoning level Link and rank 2 monsters. And
had the Jet in hand.
Yeah,
or drew it off of triple tactics talent.
Yes, and that explains why he went for the red. So he will get to take a Sprite card. We'll see whether he goes for Smashers, Starter, or Double Cross, which are the most likely candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Double Cross.
Yeah, I love Sprite Double Cross. Okay, Sprite Double Cross is really cool. Kanadiest is reading it right now, but it's a trap card that lets you do one of 3 things if you have a Link 2 monster on the field. And they basically just involve stealing your opponent's monsters. It's like a bunch of different varieties of that. You can special summon from a graveyard to where your monster points to. You can take control of it and just put it there. Or you can even attach it as an Xyz material to one of your rank 2 monsters as well.
Yeah, it has so many effects. It moves monsters from pretty much anywhere. Taking from the opponent's field and putting it on your field is usually the strongest, but there's also a lot of cool plays that come up by removing monsters from the graveyard in chain and linking it to one of your Link 2s, or even attaching it to an Xyz monster as an Xyz material. So it's actually a very versatile card The only downfall of it is if you don't have an Xyz monster or a Link monster on the field, you just can't activate it.
Well, some interesting borders on his sleeve. Makes it a little difficult to tell what his card is.
Looks like Onibimmaru since
Yeah.
he's banishing Kaleidoheart.
I think that's what it is.
200.
And he'll attack over the Dweller and just deal 200 points of damage. Definitely Onibimmaru, because it
Really
also has
nice.
1900 attack points.
Yep, it's a really nice Xyz monster that just got its foil upgrade in Magnificent Mavens.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't realize that. I've just
Yep.
been using the common forever, and now I have to
Yeah,
get the
you could rectify
ultra
the
rare.
situation.
Yeah. I learned this weekend that it's an ultra now.
There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
I've met a lot of fans of a Legendary Ocean this weekend who are happy that it finally got a foil version.
Yeah, that's an iconic card. Onibimmaru's effect is a little bit confusing because most cards that temporarily banish do it for the turn. But Onibimmaru does it for the next turn too.
It's very helpful. And unlike, Doom Lord, for instance, you can still attack.
Yeah, and its stats are higher. That's what it reminds me of, though. It reminds me of Destiny Hero Doom Lord.
Lord.
Yeah.
He's going to go with a Bestial, targeting Sprite Blue.
That's fine.
And that is going to resolve.
Looks like a
That's
Magnum
it.
Hut,
Yep,
so
that's
we'll use its
Magnum
effect.
Hut. And remembers to activate the effect. I think we had at least one person forget that yesterday.
So in the end phase, he'll get to take a high-level dragon from his deck, add it to his hand, but Sprite Double Cross steals the Magnum Hut and turns it into an Xyz material on Onibimmaru.
There it is. Now,
Again, it's not the best use of the card, because stealing a monster is usually better, but it is a great way to get rid of a card.
and Kanadiest is still going to get that search in the end phase. Man, Sprite Double Cross is cool.
Yeah, and that Xyz material may not be useless because he is able to keep using the effect of Onibimmaru.
And just like keeping that, extra dark monster away, it's nice.
That's true too. Turning an opponent's monster into your Xyz material is just better than sending it to their graveyard, typically.
Yeah, one thing I always like is coming up with new and interesting ways to get rid of monsters. Things like attaching them to Xyz materials, pushing them back into the spell and trap zones, like with the Valence cards, for instance. There's a lot of interesting and unpleasant things that you can do to monsters to make them go away.
Banishing them face down.
Yep.
For any Kashtira fans out there.
Mm-hmm. And we've got
This is what phase is it?
the
Looks like Druid Swarm.
so during the draw phase, activating Druid Swarm. And now going to activate High Rate Draw.
Okay, so now he can destroy his two monsters to draw a card.
Mm-hmm. And then Kaleidoheart will come back, and it'll be able to activate its effect as it was special summoned. Now, it is a card drawing effect, so if he had picked up an Ash Blossom, for instance, he could use it here.
Yes, but the destruction is also part of the effect, so he would keep the monsters if he did that.
And I think that would actually be preferable in some cases, rather than having Kaleidoheart go and come back. Unless he's got the answer to this here. Like Skullmeister.
So it looks like Druid Swarm's effect is going to destroy the Onibimmaru, then he brings back the Kaleidoheart. Returns Angel's face down card to the deck. Now we're seeing Ciliac's effect and Rhinoheart's effect. I think that's a Havnus? Is that a Havnus or a Sheeran?
It's a Havnus.
Okay. Oh, he actually has a Sheeran in his hand, so certainly he wouldn't search for a second one. So he'll add the Havness to his hand, and let's see what he does in the resolution of the Rhino Hearts effect.
And we're still in Angel's draw phase here. Like, all of this is happening right now before Angel's even had a chance to like really play any of his cards.
Looks like he sends Havness to the graveyard, uses its effect.
Get a fusion monster and a dark monster to make Predaplant or Ghost Apelia. Now you just gotta give him a Lava Golem.
That would be good. Sphere mode would be good too. Or he can just Ghost Mourner and Moonlight Chill. Moonlight. That negates its effect?
Yes.
Okay, so that should allow him to play unimpeded.
So it's if they special summon a monster face up, you discard it, target a face up monster, negate its effects till the end of the turn, and then if it leaves the field this turn, the controller takes damage equal to its original attack. So that's useful. It's going to keep the effect negation away, and he can get some nice burn damage in as well if he can get it off the field.
Nice, and Angel summons Nimble Beaver, which will allow him to summon another Nimble monster, including either an Angler or another Beaver. Looks like Havness's effect activates from the hand since the monster effect was used on the field, and he sent the top 3 cards of his deck to his graveyard. And Angel will, in fact, special summon an Angler from his deck with the Beaver's effect.
Another copy of Yugioh, along with Scream and Merly.
He is not. Not yet used Merly's effect, so that could be a valuable card to have sent.
Hash Veiler's starter Beaver. Ugh.
Yeah, not. I mean, there's nothing really great that he can send, right?
True.
Maybe an Angler.
It's really the Angler.
That's it. Looks like Merly's effect will activate. And he'll fuse it with Kitkalos.
We make Rulkalos. So that's going to put a hamper on special summoning effects.
Yeah, that would stop Sprite Starter, right? Cards that special summon other cards. That was a really good Havness.
Yep. And Angel just has, what, 1 card in hand right now? It's almost like, where did all the cards go?
Yeah, I mean, Sprite can do a lot with just 1 card on the hand and in the hand and 2 level 2s on the field. Is that a blue in his hand? Yeah, it is a blue, so it is a good card to have as your 1 card in the hand.
And activates it. That's going to go through.
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to Zeus, right? He didn't starter, he didn't gigantic. If he plays it.
Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot of Zeus in the Sprite deck. He certainly could, though.
So whenever it leaves the field, if it's not this turn, I shall still take the damage.
Yeah, if it leaves the field no matter what.
So they are checking the text again
Oh,
Oh, there's
on Mulet Chill.
You don't see that card quite as often as Effect Veiler, but it has certainly been gaining popularity recently.
I've seen a few people running both a full set of Moonlit Chills and a full set of Spooky Dogwoods. Spooky Dogwood particularly nasty here because just the way a lot of these games can drag. And it almost has, you know, the chilling effect that Maxi is meant to have, where it stops your opponent from special summoning too much, lest they gain too much life points.
Yeah. So he will special summon the jet that he searched for with blue and add starter to his hand.
Interesting.
If he plays the starter, he's cut off from Zeus. So we'll see where he's going with this.
Yeah, starter, not smashers, is a little interesting.
Yeah, I would think he would get Smasher. Well, if he uses Zeus, he's not going to have a field. He won't have a level 2 to banish.
True.
So.
Oh, Sky Cavalry Centauria. Okay.
Okay, so that can't be destroyed in battle while it has an Ixies material. It's usually a gateway to Zeus.
You can also bounce things away.
It can, but is that useful when he can clear the board with Zeus?
It's useful if you don't want all the cards to come back.
True. The cost is giving up that Ixies material, where typically you're going to have the Sky Cavalry and the Downward Magician below the Zeus, so you have the 2 activations, whereas if you detach the Ixies material to return a card to the hand, you're not going to get those 2 activations out of Zeus. But we'll see if that's even what he's planning. So he'll use his other 2 monsters to link summon Sprite Elf.
Just want to make sure, did I activate Banlist and Farfa?
yeah, you've activated all this.
Yeah, all 3 of those that are on the field have been used already, is what we're saying here.
He's able to use Kalos, right?
Yes. Zorcal is still available.
So that must be what he's contemplating.
Yeah, so I guess what he's trying to do is exhaust all of the effects that happen when they go to the graveyard.
Oh, what's the target jet? Target jet.
It is.
Think on the list.
Too bad for Kanadiest that he doesn't have a Pearl
Yeah.
That would make that Mudora banish really good.
I empathize with that struggle.
Some people draw all the Pearl Some don't draw any.
Yeah, it's Charlie. Charlie draws all the Carolinos.
Yeah. Based on that, it wouldn't surprise me if he's the 1 undefeated duelist.
Quite possible. He was undefeated going into day 2. Wouldn't be shocked if he still is.
So I missed what the Sprite Elf targeted, but I assume it was sent back by the Mudora in response, right?
Yes, it was the jet, I believe.
Oh, he targeted the jet? Okay.
That's about
So he attacks and returns the Real Kalos. So he is going to give up that Ixies material.
Yes.
Goes ahead and attacks there as well.
So he'll attack Havness, get that off the field without triggering its effect. Main phase 2, Downer Magician and Zeus. He only gets 1 Zeus activation because he chose to use the effect of his cavalry. But it will clear the field, and we know that his 1 remaining card is the starter.
Let's see, 51.
Yeah, I think Zeus was the only real play there.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were just too many cards on Kanadiest's field. And now Kanadiest is going to lose some life points because of the Ghost Mourner, right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I think that's what, 27?
Gregor Stapelli's 2,700 attack. It's equal to the...
It's the attack points, yes.
Actually killed it.
This isn't Duel Links. Damage isn't halved.
Nope. Nope. The full number.
Oh, that's one.
So
Can't-
only one material on the Zeus there, but you have to be careful about destroying other cards, because that could lead it to get another.
That's true. You don't see that effect come up a lot.
Doesn't come up too often. It did come up for me a number of times in the 2 Xyz related festivals in Master Duel. The Xyz one and
Oh.
the Xyz and Synchro one.
Yeah,
Came up a
Zeus,
few times there.
Zeus is pretty prevalent in that festival.
A little surprised he was allowed.
Yeah.
A little surprised.
He's limited to 1 in Master Duel, right?
True, but who plays more than one Zeus? You don't have room.
You might in an Xyz festival.
I didn't. I didn't.
So Kanadiest is going to special summon Sheeran, so sends Kelbeck to the graveyard to do it, and then sends top 3 cards of his deck to his graveyard. Looks like you got two different tier elements and a Yugioh.
Yugioh. Man, that's pretty good.
It's a nice 3. If you're not going to draw Pearl Areno, at least you're sending a bunch of monsters to the graveyard with the effect of your tier elements.
It's kind of amazing just the wildly different strengths of the cards coming off the top of the decks in all the matches we've seen.
Yeah,
From Walter Jewel 3 spells to 2 tiers at Yugioh.
yeah, we've seen
We've
that.
seen the whole spectrum.
Yeah, and you see that swing a lot of games. You're not surprised by the outcome after you're seeing some of that.
Yep.
You have to go ahead.
Huh?
So. Thing 3. Oracle. Okay, clear the heart. Let's take a look.
I believe that the Kit Close is back in the extra deck here. So this is one of the places where it could be dangerous depending on what's left in your extra deck.
Yeah, it looks like he used the Mudora in chain to send it back, right?
Yeah.
So he's able to special summon it. And I think that is enough to force the concession from Angel.
And if you're watching at home, in order to do that, you have to already have been able to fusion summon something when you activated those tier element effects in the graveyard.
Yes.
So having the Kit Close back in there was wildly important, and that's why when we talk about the importance of having 2, just in case one of them gets stuck somewhere or banished face down or goes somewhere where you can't get access to it, having that in your extra deck so that it's legal to even start your plays is really important.
Yes. That was a really long duel. There's only 17 minutes left on their clock, and they're just entering Duel 2. So I think that concession there was appropriate,
Yep.
since Angel is down a duel.
Yeah, like the Zeus play was really good, and it was looking really good until you hit tier Yugioh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Zeus play was probably the best play there, and obviously Angel didn't know what Kanadiest had. So the best he could do was clear the field. And he certainly didn't know which 3 cards were on top of his deck.
One thing I wonder, though, is if he had needed to actually play all of those other sprites.
Yeah, I don't think to set up the elf beforehand.
Set up the elf before.
Yeah, I don't think he did, but I don't really dislike it because it allowed him to destroy monsters in battle so that their effects wouldn't activate, which I think was his concern, and also forced out one of the effects to return cards to his deck.
One of the
So
cores.
it at least exhausted one of the Shizu cards. Because I'm just thinking, if he kept those cards in his hand, what would it really have done?
I mean, nothing the way the game actually turned out, but in a world where maybe those cards off the top are 3 spells and Kanadiest can't do anything, then you have your sprite combo back to start up next
On the
turn.
following turn. That's true. That is true. Yeah, I think he aimed to optimize his odds of surviving to next turn to his next turn.
We're going to have about 15 minutes left here for games 2 and 3. Remember, a draw doesn't do any good for anybody.
No, so this could get messy if Angel wins Duel 2. That might, or even if he wins it in time, because if a draw happens, that is really not good for anybody. They're both looking for a clean win.
Yep. Like Angel will have to win this one like very fast, which would mean you got to see just nothing off the top on Kanadiest's side.
Yeah, it's not impossible. The Sprite deck can set up a very strong turn 1 field, often involving Elf and Totally Awesome, plenty of cards that set up negations against the opponent's cards, and with that, he may be able to just stop Kanadiest before his deck takes off. So it's not impossible to take a very quick win. But he'll start with the Carrot, which negates spells or traps by attributing level 2, level Link or rank 2, and then special summon Jet to get starter from his deck.
Ooh, and next up Kanadiest has Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries.
I think we're probably going to see Elf removed.
Elf or Sprint, they play both.
Activate Ghost Reaper.
He goes for the Sprint.
Change Sprite.
Goes for Sprint.
That's your action.
That's interesting. So he's going to cut off the nimble plays.
Yeah, that is interesting. That is, I feel like you could do fine without the nimble plays. No, is cutting off nimble angler more valuable than cutting off
Sprite Elf?
Sprite Elf?
You know, in this case, in this situation going second, yeah, I think I see it. It's just a lot of extra bodies on board if you let that stuff go through. Versus him having to have the extra bodies already to summon from hand.
Yeah, that is true, but at the point he used the Ghost Reaper, we already knew he had Carrot, Jet, and Starter. Starter getting blue, blue getting now red. So he's already got at least 4 bodies.
You have to use it there, though.
Yeah.
Because if they get the sprint out, it's too late.
True, true. Yeah, I'm just thinking if you stop the Elf, at least you're cutting off the Totally Awesome combo.
All right, so we've got Djinn Buster now. Djinn Buster and Gigantic Sprite. Djinn Buster is going to protect.
So he will get Swap Frog with Gigantic Sprite, locking both players into level Link and rank 2 monsters. Angel was already locked in because of his starter, but he'll use the Swap Frog's effect to send a Swap Frog to the graveyard. I think he'd like...
Notably would keep Havness off the field.
Yes.
The level 3.
Yes. He's actually giving up the Djinn Buster to summon the Elf.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And there you see the Havness, which is stuck in the hand.
Yes, for the reason you just mentioned. So he makes the Elf by using Djinn Buster. It's unfortunate for him he didn't have another level 2 monster to summon. So he had to give up the Djinn Buster and its negation effect. But he does get the Toad, Totally Awesome, and Sprite Elf combo.
Oh, and he's got Artifact Sanctum. That's got to be sided in. Sanctum Toad Sprite Elf is pretty formidable.
This might be that quick Duel 1 we talked about. Duel 2, rather.
Yeah, if there's a way that Angel's going to win the match outright, that's it.
Let's do a door face.
Huh?
Let's do a door face.
It's not my face.
Stand by face. Plug and break.
Sorry, who?
We're going to chain Abyss deal.
Who?
Yes.
And it's important that this is happening in the standby phase because the Elf effect only works in the main phase.
Right, so we'll see if Angel uses it anyway. He does. Can he set that?
Cancel the defense.
Yeah, it's not a can only be special summoned by monster, right?
Right, but it activates in the hand. It's negated in the hand.
And it's destroyed.
Oh, it's the
And then you
so
set the
because
destroyed card.
Because it, okay.
Playing one side. Playing two turn. Farfa.
Yeah, the important thing is that the destroyed card is still there and hasn't moved anywhere else.
And he's done putting monsters.
I see. So now we're going to see Kanadiest use Lightning Storm to try to destroy the monsters on the field. We'll probably see Angel chain the effect of his elf,
We're doing monsters.
since he must be in his main phase to use that Lightning Storm.
Yep, and his opponent doesn't control a monster here, so it can only summon back level 2s. The extra condition on it is, so it's always a quick effect, right? But if your opponent controls a monster, it can also target Link 2 and Rank 2s.
Right, for getting back totally awesome. And he does get the Jet, which will allow him to search for a starter when the chain resolves.
How many times do I have this?
Kanadiest use Tearlaman Scream, normal summons Rhino Heart, and then triggers their effects.
Okay.
Hits only a Mudora of note.
Attack on that. I'll try to end my phase.
Yeah, so that's the first time we've seen not a whole lot off of one of Kennedy's effects, the set of cards to the graveyard.
Well, he can't special summon from the extra deck because of Scythe, so
If ever there was a time to get that one, it would be now.
yeah.
There's only
He can send as many Tearlamans to the grave as he wants. He can't use their effects to fusion summon.
So Tearlaman Scream, interesting because it only works on normal and special summons, so a flip summon would not trigger it.
Looks like he's trying to use it.
Goes ahead and flip summons.
Okay, so now he's going to normal summon the Swap Frog. So now we'll see the Scream activate.
And now he hits all the tournament monsters.
Havness and Merly.
That's
Oh,
just bad
man.
luck. Just bad luck that the order of those 3 card sets wasn't reversed.
Yeah, now that I can special summon fusion monsters, I think I'll send my Tearlamans to the grave.
Mm-hmm.
Synchro Lord.
Yikes. We know Angel has a starter, though. So even if he took Kaleido Heart to remove the Swap Frog from the field, that would not starve Angel of his level 2 monsters. So he's probably not going to make that play. Let's see what he wants.
Yeah, he's got to make.
Sorry.
Oh, he's chaining the starter.
Chain the starter.
There's a snow pillow. But I have 2.
It's like there's some universe where this ends up in like a Rulkalos that can negate the starter.
I was going to say, he was probably concerned that the 2 effects would be used in chain, summon Kitkalos, summon Rulkalos,
Yeah.
and then stop the starter. That is a possibility, right?
Okay, but can I ask why is that so good?
So the only surefire way to resolve the starter was to use it here.
I have multiple effects to trigger.
And it's tough though. So like this particular situation doesn't seem that complex of all of them, but it is taking quite an amount of time to untangle.
Yeah, there aren't that many cards in play that are relevant here, but there's a lot of options that could unfold as a result of the way they're used.
Yep. So we've got 2 tier limit monsters here in the graveyard, and then chained to that was the Sprite starter. So we're unraveling this particular thing right now, and it did seem like it was taking a little bit of time to kind of untangle what's one of the more simple chains we've seen out of the tournament cards lately. It's just 2 fusion summons. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, we've seen some intense chains in this tournament, so.
Yeah, we got up to, what was the highest chain link you saw
Oh, I don't know.
yesterday? 7 or 8?
This has got to be at least 7 or 8.
I think we got to 7 in one of the matches that I was on yesterday.
Yeah.
Possibly this morning. I think it might have been PAX match where we got
really?
to 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. And that's what makes playing the deck so difficult and playing against the deck so difficult. Because you really have to think ahead, think hard, and visualize how everything's going to unfold. And you don't know exactly what's going to happen as the chain resolves, because an effect that fusion summons a monster can fusion summon one of many monsters. Mm-hmm. So you don't know exactly what's coming until everything's resolved.
And it's even a little more crazy when you think about putting monsters back into the deck to special summon them later in the chain as it's resolving. You're like, there's some really crazy stuff that can actually happen.
Yeah, and that's something we saw in the previous duel, where he had to send his Kitkalos back to the deck to be able to special summon it. So there is a lot to think through.
Yeah, and even in deck construction, right? We've talked about it over and over again, the 1 Kitkalos versus 2. One of the reasons you want the 2 is so that you don't have to do some of these, gymnastics to get your fusion summons online. But this is as a result, this makes it a format where technical players, very good technical players, can really thrive.
Yeah, and I think we have seen some of the most accomplished players doing the best in this tournament. So it looks like the chain is resolving, and Kanadiest is summoning Kitkalos.
And you can see that the timer appears to have gone up here. That's usually the indication that a slow play warning was issued. A slow play warning adds 3 minutes onto the timer, in addition to the warning received for it. And not a whole lot of shock. We were thinking about it. It's like, it's just 2 fusion summons and a sprite starter. It can't be that difficult.
Yeah.
It turns out it's only 1 fusion summon. Or possibly both were activated and then both were sent back, so the other one didn't resolve.
Yeah, that is possible. It looks like Angel's going to exceed summon Gigantic Sprite and use its effect, so now he can special summon a level 2 from his deck. He'll go for the Nimble Beaver. Special summon Sprite Blue from his hand, and that'll get him Sprite Jet.
One thing to remember here is that all of his monsters are going to have minus 500 attack, thanks to the scream.
That is a good thing to remember, because I forgot. Oh, looks like, I believe that's a double cross that Angel has face down.
It looked like it. Being able to take that Kitkalos.
That's pretty good. And also just having that face down going into your turn is so powerful, because it makes it so much more difficult for the opponent to stop.
It's really a tremendous card. Like, both of the main things that Sprite got out of Darkwing Blast, both Sprint and Double Cross, both are excellent.
Yeah, the synergy between Sprint and Nimble Angler is just incredible. Makes me forget that I lost Ronin Totem.
That's fine. Your good friend Substitute has returned.
He has. Indeed he has. I don't know if I'd call Substitute my good friend.
Well, it was just Ronin Totem. He's just a bad influence,
Yeah.
FTKing people. And get a Mudora effect here. He's thinking about flipping the double cross. There it is, bright double cross.
Target Rhino.
He's targeting Rhino Heart. I'm not sure which effect he's using, but he'll either steal it or attach it to the gigantic sprite as an Xyz material.
All right, puts it in the zone that his charmer is pointing to.
Yes.
It's a little hard to see on the screen, but you can see the arrows there in the corner.
Down left, down right.
Down left, down right. The side ones might be a little difficult. A little difficult.
I think most players know the link arrows on the charmers because I believe they're all the same, right?
They are all the
down
same.
Down left, down right.
Still got to get rid of Kid Kalos somehow.
Looks like he's just going to do it in battle. What's Kid Kalos' defense points?
It can't be that high if a minus 500 sprite monster.
It's got to be under 800.
Did it?
And this is lowered by 5, right?
All of them are. Oh, wait. So you cannot go through it. Yes. Yes.
Says it's 1200.
Oh, this one is.
Oh, that's why it's
So attack declaration.
coming back.
And 1350.
Okay, so he ended up using the smashers to get rid of it.
Do we have combos?
I guess he forgot about the scream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that the defense is quite that low.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's still banish.
So he's going to take some battle damage in here.
You take 400.
And this is 1350.
Yeah, it looks like his attack connected. He lost life points because of the minus 500, and then to sort of
1000.
fix the situation, he just used the smashers to banish the Kid Kalos so his remaining monsters can attack.
And 11.
So it was a small mistake, it seems.
2550.
But it is easy to forget about the Screams 500 because
It is.
that's not really the reason you're playing it, right?
It's not a type of effect that really happens often either. Like most of those only apply to the things that are on the field when they happen, whereas Scream's just the whole turn.
So it looks like he's entering main phase 2. We'll see what he's doing with that gigantic sprite and Rhino Heart. Or, I guess not Rhino Heart. Druid Worm instead.
Hands 2 over for IP Masquerena.
Now
Activates the effect of Druid Worm here.
goes for the Masquerena, which is just sent to the graveyard by its effect. I don't know if that went how Angel expected.
Yeah, I think he expected that it would have had to start on Kanadiest's own side of the field and go to the graveyard that way.
Yeah, I think you're right since he just reread Druid Worm. So Kanadiest summons Merle, uses the effect of It and Scream to send 6 cards to the grave. We can't see all 6, but I assume one of them is one of the Ishizu monsters that sends 5. Well, now he's sending 10, so I'm going to say he got both of the Ishizu monsters that send 5.
And it's interesting that, like, he looked at it and sent it, and then is like, oh, immediately afterwards. And that feels just like a fatigue.
Yeah,
Fatigue
it's been a long weekend of dueling. You might expect to see some play errors later in the tournament, especially in a format as complicated as this one.
So no shade.
Obviously, Angel is a very strong duelist, so he knows what's going on. And he immediately realized his mistake when it was made. With all those cards sent to the graveyard, Kanadiest basically has his whole deck of effects at his disposal.
It's all there.
I think it was 16 cards he just sent?
We can't even see all of them. Half of them are off screen.
Yeah. But it was 3 from the Merle, 3 from the Scream, and then 5 from each of two Ishizu monsters.
Yeah, Yugioh and Kelbeck.
Yes.
So that would be 16.
Yeah, 16. Looks like he fusion summoned Kitkalos and Garura.
Garura nice with that double damage. Probably going to show up here.
It easily might, and he is going to use the effect of, it looks like a Celiac that was sent to the graveyard to get Sheeran.
He's got to hurry up, though.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time left on the clock. So he'll use Sheeran's effect. If he loses this duel in time, it would be a draw. So that would not be good for anybody.
And it feels like it would be self-inflicted at this point.
Yes, he clearly has the potential to... I think he has the potential to end it even here, but we don't know what Angel's face down card is, do we? Or Kanadiest doesn't know, does he?
Now, well, Smashers is gone. Double Cross is gone. It could be another Sanctum.
Could be a starter. Well, if it were a Sanctum, he'd dip almost certainly... Well,
A starter's as good as damage, though. It's a self-burn card.
that's true. 1800 defense won't stand up to Kitkalos, so that won't be enough.
What's the time? Oh, can I ask for the time? Can I ask for... put it back on this. 15 seconds?
15 seconds in the round, it looks like, and Kanadiest is entering his battle phase after summoning Real Kalos. So Angel's face down card needs to be really good to keep him in the duel, and it is not. He offers the handshake, and Kanadiest does take a 2-0 win.
Yeah, it was a tough one, but, you know, sometimes the cards just come off the top of the deck in the exact correct order. None of the monsters when you can't use them, all of the monsters when you can. And that was kind of the turning point in that one there. Angel could have left the Drew Swarm on field there and not just had his Ascarina destroyed immediately.
Yeah, there were a few things he could have done differently.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You can tell that the whole weekend has taken its toll.